If you feel like the things that you do on a daily basis are different and they are not considered typical, then you may actually be neurodivergent, or you could even have ADHD. And sometimes those quirks, they may make you feel weird, different, misunderstood, maybe even ashamed. But you should not be ashamed. Most definitely you shouldn't be ashamed, because that is how God made you. So in this video, I want to help you spot the traits of a neurodivergent person compared to somebody who may be neurotypical. And if you do see yourself in this, I'm going to show you how to embrace those traits instead of trying to change who you are just to fit in, okay? Because being neurodivergent or having the traits, they are not flaws. The answer isn't to shame yourself into being normal and try to be like other people. The answer is to recognize the gift inside of your difference. And if you're new here, I'm Amika Coleman. I am the founder of Strands of Faith, a purpose-driven beauty brand that creates products to bring joy to your textured hair. And I am a mental wellness advocate. So let's get into it. So for me, I felt different for the most part of my life. And as an adult, I realized that some of the things that I do are really actually neurodivergent type of behaviors. This is a realization that I came to. So you're gonna hear a lot of my stories throughout this video. You may even see yourself in me. But what changed everything for me was this question: if this is how I'm wired, then how can I work with it instead of against it? How can I just fully embrace who I am? The very first thing is stimming. Stimming is like a concept that was new to me. I had no idea what it was. But stimming is basically when you do repetitive behavior, and it's a way to self-soothe. One of the ways that I do this, and I didn't even realize it was something that I did until like my kids asked me the question, like, why do you do this all the time? But say for instance, like right now I'm doing this YouTube video, right? When I post this video, I'll probably watch this video back about 2 or 3 times. And for me, I never really had an answer as to why I did it. I just know that it felt calming for me. I do this sometimes with a song. Like there's a song, Selah, yeah. Don't stress for a moment. Close your eyes and let it be. And Selah. Forrest Frank. That song has been on repeat. When I first found that song, I would listen to that song like 10 times in a row. And to other people, I realized, I was like, okay, this is not like typical behavior. Somebody else can look at that and be like, okay, that's weird, that's different, like, why are you doing that? But it was normal for me. In my mind, it just felt normal. But I realized it is not considered neurotypical, right? That's usually a trait of somebody who is neurodivergent. And so stimming is something, if you notice yourself doing something over and over and over in a row, you're likely stimming, and you're likely doing so because it's just a self-soothing way for you. And so don't beat yourself up about doing things that are different from other people. You just have to embrace it and lean into it. If that is how you get through your day, doing something that's repetitive, that's okay. That is totally fine. You have to stick to the things that work for you, even if it looks different to other people. And one way to actually use this to your advantage is notice when you are repeating things. Notice when you're doing repetitive things to calm you down, and then intentionally use those things when you're stressed. So if you're having a tough day and you're stressed, then go back to those things that calm you and self-soothe you, and then intentionally do it. I know initially you're probably doing it because you aren't aware, but if you become aware of the things that you do in repetition, when it is used to soothe you, then you can intentionally use those when you're in stress situations. And so don't look at it as you being too sensitive. Just look at it as you're tuned in differently, and that's okay. And then stimming is one thing, but then you have something called body-focused repetitive behaviors, and you do this because it's pretty much a coping mechanism. So for me, I have this habit where I pick in my ears nonstop. Like, it's something I've been doing since I was a child. Initially, I was not even aware that I was doing it because it's just it's innate to me. It's part of who I am, and it just brings me comfort. And I notice I do it when I'm like anxious, when I have anxiety, when I'm nervous, or when I'm really deep in thought and I'm processing things in my brain. I'll pick my ear to no return. So much so that I don't know if you can see this, but my ear is black. Like, it's like black. I picked it that much till it's black. And even though that's an aesthetic thing that's not like the best looking, and I notice it's still something that I can't really control. Like, I have to be intentional to try to stop myself from poking in my ears. I've tried to put Band-Aids on it. I've tried different creams to make it slippery. I've tried everything, but nothing that I've done has worked. And so for me, I've just recognized it as a coping mechanism and just is like, I've kind of accepted it, you know, maybe one day I'll be able to stop it. But if you notice that you're doing this like repetitive behavior, then you may just be doing it to cope. It just may be how you cope with the stressors of life. So again, whatever habits you have, don't look at them as something negative. Look at it as your nervous system is really literally trying to cope. That's all it is. So one thing you can do if you have a habit like me, you can try to redirect the urge. Maybe you chew a piece of gum or come up with something to kind of replace that. But even if you can't, just understand your brain is not working against you. It is it is your body's way and your brain's way of trying to stabilize you. And sometimes that's just what it is. Another thing is oversharing. Oh my gosh. If you are somebody who overshares, then consider that it's probably because you may be neurodivergent. It's not that you lack control. It's not that you are just like a blubber at the mouth. It's just really your way of wanting to connect. You're wanting to connect with people, and so sometimes you overshare. You may share things that you weren't intended to share with people. And then you, like, say for instance, have you ever shared something with somebody and then after the fact you're like, dang, I shouldn't have said that. Dang, I shouldn't have shared that. And it's because sometimes when you're processing things or having conversations with people, you just say whatever it is on your mind without fully filtering it, right? So that can be like a con. That is something that I would say that you should become aware of and try your best to redirect that thing of the oversharing. And the way you do that is with boundaries. Like, this is where you have to put boundaries up before you start to speak and say things that you're probably gonna regret later. You have to ask yourself, is this person who I'm talking to, is this like a trusted person that I feel comfortable sharing things with, and I'm not gonna, after the fact, be like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have said that, right? Oversharing for people like us is just something that, you know, we wanna connect with people. We want to be relatable. We want to make other people feel seen. And so in the process, we can sometimes talk too much. It can be like an anxiety thing as well, where you just start talking and as a result, you say too much. And so being aware is going to be the first step to allow you to be cognizant of when you're in the presence of people and speaking too much. You can kind of reel that back in and say, okay, I gotta reel it in. I gotta be quiet. I can't say too much, right? But don't think that something is wrong with you just because you're overshare. You just have to use wisdom, and you have to be intentional to quiet your mind if you can, but also your voice. One of the ways you can reframe it is when you start to overshare, don't shame yourself for oversharing. Just look at it like, okay, it's not that like I said, you don't lack control. You're trying to connect with people. You don't need less heart. You just need the boundary. So the next time you overshare, think about this. Yes, I want to connect with people because I have a heart and I want to, you know, make them feel seen, but I also need to put a boundary to protect myself, because oversharing can negatively affect you if you're sharing things with the wrong person, and then they can use that against you. So just be mindful. Sharing and talking is good with the right people, but just make sure you put that boundary in place. Another thing you may do is multitask. Multitask is, oh man, it allows creative freedom. It allows you to be able to thrive in this world. Some people can do the same thing every day and feel fine. Some people can work a 9 to 5 and feel fine. Some people can do the same task day in and day out and feel fine. But I find that people who are neurodivergent, they have to have multiple projects, multiple processes, multiple things going on at one time. And for me, even though, like I said, I didn't have a name to all of these things back then, but the behaviors and the traits were always there. Like for me, I knew early on that working in like a corporate atmosphere 9 to 5 was not for me. When I got out of college and I started working at the hospital, it was I craved the variety of what I had the chance to do when I was in the hospital, but I did not like the structure of going and clocking in and going at 9 and leaving at 5. It felt like I was in a literal prison. It felt like I was suffocated, like I couldn't breathe. And that part of me made me feel unfulfilled. And I'm like, what's wrong with me? Like, why am I so different? Like I said, I didn't have a name to it, and I just thought that I was really different. Like, I thought like I was just like a different. I really couldn't explain it, in other words. And so when I left the hospital, my next career was I was traveling. I had a job where I was traveling all over the world. And with that job, I was able to control my schedule. So I was able to book my flights, book what time I'm gonna show up at this site. And I was like, wow, this is freedom. This feels so good, because I had the pure control. And in that moment, I was like, okay, this is what I like. This is for me. And so I identified that working a 9 to 5 in that capacity wasn't for me. But if I'm gonna work for somebody else, if I can have my own freedom, that's how I'm able to really feel fulfilled doing the work that I'm doing. And so at that time, I had no idea that I was gonna one day become an entrepreneur and own my own business, but it all made sense, y'all, because when I became an entrepreneur, this has been the most freeing and fulfilling I have ever been in my life, because as an entrepreneur, guess what? It's multitasking on steroids, right? You starting this project, you starting that project, you're creating this new idea, you're doing all of these things from scratch, and your mind can go so many different ways at one time. And so it's like never boring. It's just like this level of fulfillment that I can't even explain. And so if you're listening to this and you're somebody who is multitasking often and you have a problem being boxed in, then you may be neurodivergent. And so what you have to do is, instead of fighting your multitasking brain, build work routines or habits or whatever around your brain, your multitasking process is going to honor it. Create variety on purpose in your life, right? Instead of letting things create stress in your life with the mundane, whatever, you have to be the one to create that variety. And even if you are working a 9 to 5, you can do this in the hobbies, or you can become an entrepreneur, right? Some neurodivergent people, they become entrepreneurs and they do things on their own time just because of that. So basically, you have to create a variety on purpose that's going to work for you, that's not going to work against you, so that you can feel a little bit more free and fulfilled in whatever it is that you're called to do in life. But then it's not even how we work. It also flows over into our communication, like how we talk. And neurodivergent people, this is something that I find that they do. Again, this is another trait or thing that I had, and I'm like, what is wrong with me? I don't want people to think I'm rude, but interrupting, right? You ever have the conversation with somebody and you are so excited about the conversation, but you have like this overflow of thoughts going on at one time, and it's like you blurt it all out. It's like a word salad comes all out at the person you're talking to, and it seems like you're interrupting them, and they may interpret it as being rude, when the reality is you're not being rude. It's just that so many thoughts came to you at one time, and you're trying to communicate them in a way before you forget, or before your brain skips to something else, because your brain is like playing ping pong, going back, and by the time this person is on one point, right? They talking to you at one point, but your brain has already processed 10 to 15 points at one time. And so in order to stay on the conversation and to answer whatever it is y'all having a conversation and dialogue about, you're trying to get it all out. And I find that people, if they aren't accustomed to being around people who communicate differently, they can see that as being rude. They can see that as the person being obnoxious, when really you're just trying to have a conversation in the best way you know how. And so this is another thing that I've had to learn. I've had to just really sit with myself. And sometimes when I'm talking to people, I may have to have a notepad to jot down my notes so that I can refrain back to that point. Or sometimes I'll even ask somebody, say, hey, do you mind if I, interject here to say whatever I have to say, if it's like an important point, so that I don't totally forget or lose the thought. And so that's okay. You just want to communicate with people in your style. So still communicate how you communicate, but then also you have to be aware that other people who you're talking to, they may not process things in the same way as you do, and they may assume or misinterpret you or misunderstand you, which could lead to a negative way that they perceive you. And so keeping that in mind will help you as you communicate with people, because you'll keep how you process and do things in the forefront, but then you'll also be thinking about the other person, like how they're going to receive this, and then it'll just kind of help you with your flow and your delivery. But y'all, it is a real thing. This is something that I have worked on, and it's difficult. I ain't gonna lie, it's difficult because you're having to retrain your brain to kind of fight against doing something that comes natural for you. But it is possible. It is possible with a lot of practice and a lot of intentionality. You'll be able to have better conversations with people that make them feel seen and that doesn't make you feel like you're like this rude person. And then the flip side of that, though, is that for me, I also find that it's funny because it's kind of like, it's like going against each other. But also when I'm talking to people, I really want them to feel like I hear them, like I understand them, like they are the star of the show. And then sometimes on the flip side, I can be like super quiet. And the reason why I'm super quiet is because, again, I'm trying to quiet my thoughts so that I don't overtalk and speak. But then I also want to let that person know that they're heard so that I can, cater to them in that way. And so that's the empathy side of me. The empathy side of me, they don't really apply to neurodivergent, but I'm just sharing that to show how the brain and our identities and how the person itself can be so complex. Like, we are not just this one size fit all. There's so many levels to us based off of our life experiences, based off the things that we go through. And so you can be neurodivergent, you can be empathetic, you can have ADHD, you can have all these things, and that makes up who you are. And so once you recognize yourself through and through, you will be able to just show up in the world in a way that is authentic to you, but then also in a way that makes people perceive you in a healthier way. Another thing is moving from reassurance seeking to clarity. Reassurance seeking, this is what it looks like. And this one is tough because I'm like, I wish everybody had empathy. I wish everybody can look at people who they're communicating with and say, okay, maybe this person process different than me, think different than me, instead of automatically judging and assuming, right? And so this particular, when I say reassurance seeking, something that I have always done and something that I've seen other people do, which I didn't even realize it was a problem until somebody said something about it. You know how you're in a conversation with somebody and you may say, you understand what I'm saying? You understand? Or am I making sense? You're saying that, but for you, the person who's saying that, they're saying that for reassurance seeking to ensure that the person they're speaking to is understanding them. What I found is that some people actually get offended by that and they think that you're insulting their intelligence as if, okay, that's basic what you just said. Why would I not understand that? When in reality, the person who is saying it, they're just doing it because they care so much about you and care about how you're receiving the information that that's just their way of reaffirming it. Like, you understand, but some people look at that like you're insulting their intelligence. That's something that I never would have guessed, never would have imagined until I saw a conversation about it and somebody saying it. I'm like, wow, you took that from that? And that is what showed me that we really are so different. Like, all of us, we are so different. And this is another reason why, we shouldn't assume. We should not assume things about people. I think we should seek to understand people because we are so different. And again, we process things differently. We communicate things differently. We learn things differently. And so instead of, this is a tip for any of us, right? Myself included. Instead of getting offended or instead of assuming something about somebody when they do a behavior towards you, seek to understand. If you're feeling a way, ask a question. And when you ask the question, then it may unlayer all the things and you realize, oh, this person didn't mean this in that way like I thought after all. Because you have to think, our projections, we project unknowingly, right? Based on our experiences. Your experiences are not going to be mine. Mine are not going to be yours. Yours are not going to be everybody else's. And so if there's ever a point where you don't understand something or you feel offended or slighted or whatever, ask the questions. Ask the questions. Can I get clarity on that? Can we, go deeper into that thing? And then clarity always trumps everything, because once you're clear on something, once you have clarity on it, then that leaves no room for misunderstanding, because you know exactly what was said, why it was said, and it just nips everything in the bud. So if you ever are in a situation where there's some type of misunderstanding, just ask for clarity. Another thing is sensory sensitivity. Ooh, y'all, it's so crazy how now we got so much literature that has come out. We have so much awareness and things that we know now that we did not know back then. But I look back on it and I'm like, man, I've had these traits of certain things all along, but we just didn't have no words to put to it. So when I was little, this used to drive me like freaking insane. Thinking about it right now even drives me insane. But when I was little, I used to put, like, whenever I put socks on, you know how the little, like, when you put socks on, the little edge corner that's on your pinky toe, that I guess where it's like knitted together and it kind of have like this bulge, that used to rub against my pinky toe and it drove me insane. And I didn't realize it at the time, but that was a sensory sensitivity, which shows up, often in the neurodivergent people. And I used to try to like cut it off, fold it over so that I wouldn't feel it. And it was really bad. Like, it really, really, really affected me. And then now as an adult, the same thing. My dog, like, he can be in a room with me and he start licking his paws. Y'all, when he start licking them paws and I hear that smacking, it's like all the neuron transmitters and synapses and all the things in my brain, they just go. It drives me freaking insane. Like, I would rather hear some chalk on a board going over hearing him licking his paws and that smacking. That drives me insane. Sensory sensitivity. If you have that, then you could be neurodivergent. That could be, a telltale sign to let you know, because all of these things that made me different or quirky or weird, I just thought I was just different, but it was just really the essence of who I was. And that's okay. So I think once you realize that some of the things you do are different to other people, embrace it. It's just your quirk. It's just you. And it's fine if nobody else can relate, or if that's not something that like bothers them or ticks them off or whatever. Like, it's unique to you. So that is totally fine. So don't feel bad for your quirks in life. Just embrace them. Embrace them, because they make you who you are. Now, this one may come as a shocker to you. It always comes as a shocker to people who I meet in person or who I have a conversation with in person. But small talk. That is something that is very hard for some neurodivergent people to do, because we prefer depth. We prefer stimulating conversations that's gonna take our mind on a roller coaster ride. We prefer, take me to the sky. Let's get on a rocket ship. Let's go there, explore around, and let's come back, right? And so sometimes, like, I can be bubbly. Like, I'm just me. So sometimes I could be very, very bubbly. And like, even in these videos, I may appear confident, or I may appear however you perceive me. You let me know how you perceive me. But the thing is, I am actually very socially awkward. Like, I am so socially awkward, and small talk drains me. If I'm having a small talk with somebody, it's something that I know that we have to do as humans, just because if you're around a room full of people, small talk and conversation is the norm, quote unquote. It's typical, it's the norm. And so I try to, I don't want to say conform or fit in, but I do understand the importance of it. And so I do it. But when I do small talk, for me, I like to, as much as possible, lead it down a path that's gonna allow depth. Like, let me get to know you. Like, what excites you? Let's find this common mutual interest, and so then we can talk on that topic. But like, small talk, things that don't really help me to grow or to evolve me or to expand my thinking, is very, very difficult for me, right? And so if you are somebody who don't like small talk, it's okay. It's not that you are bad at talking. It's just that you crave that depth. You've craved that something that's going to like stretch you, something that's going to elevate you. You just crave that, and that's just how you're wired, and that's okay. Extroverts can talk all day, every day, and this is also a part of the extrovert introvert. I'm introverted, so I'm introverted. I'm socially awkward. I don't really care for small talk. Like, I am all those things. And this is something I've had to learn as a business owner, because as a business owner, you have to talk, right? You have to talk about your business. You have to put yourself out there. These are all things that I've had to manage. And if this is you, if you relate to this and you're struggling with this, you will eventually get to the level you need to be. You just have to find your comfort zone and build a routine for you that makes the most sense for you, that doesn't take you too far out left, but then doesn't keep you boxed in. And so, in other words, if you don't like small talk, it's okay. That doesn't mean anything wrong with you. It just means that you crave depth on a more thorough level. I actually had way more that I wanted to discuss, but this video is already long. So if any of these hit you, if you identify with any of the things I said, and if you feel like, hey, I felt like she was talking to me, let me know. I'm curious as to what we all may have in common, some of the things that we have differences. And then if you do something that falls in the neurodivergent category that I didn't hit on, drop it in the comments and let me know. But I hope this was super helpful for you. If you are somebody who's STEM, if you're somebody who oversharing, hopefully I gave you some tips that are going to be able to help you on your journey. Just know that you are not different. Well, let me say this. You are different, but that's a good thing. You are not different in a bad way. You're just more different in a good way, which means that your difference is what makes you who you are. And if there was no you, there would be no you. So don't shy away from that. Fully show up as who you are, your quirks and all. Can't nobody replicate you or do anything like you, and that's the beauty of being you. And so just walk fully into that. Walk fully into that. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are absolutely amazing. And if nobody else has told you they love you, just know I love you, boo. Keep the faith. Bet on you, because God already did.